everyone, welcome back to Simply Word. My name is Ler Kotengo. um, it's been a while, and I'm sorry that I have not been as consistent in sharing with you guys my life, my faith, my love for you, and the things that God has been doing in my life. But it has been a rough couple of months. A lot has changed in my life, like big changes have happened. But the long and short of it is that I've experienced great grief and great loss, and currently going through quite a bit of pain, and really just trying not to fall into despair and to depression. So I have been doing the one thing that I know how, which is just enter into God's word, feel myself in His presence, surround myself with people who love me, with people who believe in God as well, who are able to encourage me. And I wanted to share with you just different people in the Bible who experienced great loss and were able to survive, and God was able to come through for them. And I hope that by the time I'm done with this video, you will actually see God. Or let me even speak for myself. And by the end of this video, I will see how God has been with me, that He is actually Jehovah Ebenezer. He's brought me this far. The story that really comes to mind when I think about great loss and great change is the story of Ruth and Naomi. And you can find the story of Naomi and Ruth in the book of, Ruth, from chapter 1, actually the entire book. But I really wanted to focus on the pain that Naomi felt when her life just took a different turn and she experienced a lot of grief. So she had moved to Moab. She had moved from her hometown Bethlehem to Moab, settled with her husband, had kids, and then the kids grew up. They got married to Moabite women, but then her sons died, and she experienced the loss of her family, and her husband also died. She experienced the loss of her entire family, and because she became a widow, she had to relocate back to her community where she could be taken care of, and decided to go back home. And then, luckily enough, one of her daughters-in-law decided to go with her, so she wouldn't have to be alone. So just want to focus on the thing that that Naomi said in response to her pain, in response to Ruth, and Ruth offered to go with her to back home to Bethlehem. This is Ruth chapter 1 from verse 12. I'm going to read up to verse 13, and then I'll read from verse 20. So this is Naomi responding to Ruth. "No, my daughter, return to your parents' homes, for I am too old to marry again, and even if it were possible and I were to get married tonight and bear sons, then what? Would you wait for them to grow up and refuse to marry someone else? No, of course not, my daughters. Things are far more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord Himself has raised His fist against me." So Naomi, you can tell that Naomi is very bitter, very angry, very hurt, and rightfully so. Her husband has died, her sons have died, and she has to relocate to a different place, back to her hometown. What is she going to do with her life? And then here in verse 20, "Don't call me Naomi," she responded. "Instead, call me Mara, for the Almighty has made life bitter for me. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me home empty. Why call me Naomi when the Lord has caused me to suffer? The Almighty has sent such great tragedy upon me." And basically the entire story of Ruth and Naomi is such a testament of how God works even behind the scenes when you're going through pain and tragedy and loss and change, because they end up going back home. Ruth finds herself in the field of one of the kinsman redeemers named Boaz. She works as she finds favor in his eyes. They end up getting married, and they live happily ever after. But I want us to shift back to a different person in the Bible who experienced loss, and this is Job. You can find the story of Job in the book of Job from verse 1. I'm going to read from chapter 1, verse 13 to 21. I'm sorry, it's quite a bit of a read, but please bear with me. Chapter 1, verse 13. One day when Job's sons and daughters were feasting at the oldest brother's house, a messenger arrived at Job's home with this news. Your oxen were plowing, with the donkeys feeding beside them. When the Sabeans raided us, they stole all the animals and killed all the farm hands. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived with this news. The fire of God has fallen from heaven and burned up your sheep and all the shepherds. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, a third messenger arrived with this news. 3 bands of Chaldean raiders have stolen your camels and killed your servants. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived with this news. Your sons and daughters were feasting in their oldest brother's house. Suddenly, a powerful wind swept in from the wilderness and hit the house on all sides. The house collapsed and all your children are dead. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. Job stood up and tore his robe in grief. Then he shaved his head and fell to the ground to worship. He said, I came naked from my mother's womb, and I will be naked when I leave. The Lord gave me what I had, and the Lord has taken it away. Praise the name of the Lord. I think Job is the most inspiring of everybody in the Bible who's experienced great loss, because he did not just experience the loss of property and wealth and all the stuff that he had acquired, but he lost his entire family. All his children died, and all this happened in one day. But his response was to worship the Lord and to praise him. I want us to look at yet one more person in the Bible, and this is Hagar. Genesis chapter 8. This is the story of Hagar. Hagar was a slave girl who lived with Abraham and Sarah and Sarai before they had Isaac. And while they were waiting to have Isaac, they got impatient, and Sarai suggested to Abraham to sleep with the slave girl to bear a son for him. And she did. She gave birth to Ishmael. But then after a while, there was a bit of jealousy and bitterness between the two women. Sarai asked Abraham to send Hagar away because Hagar would look down on Sarai. She did, but the Lord asked Hagar to go back, and when she went back home, after a while, Sarai actually got pregnant and had a baby, but then there was still enmity between them, and once again Sarai sent Hagar away, and Hagar found herself in the desert with no water, no food, with a child, and she basically was in despair. Verse 14. So Abraham got up early the next morning, prepared food and a container of water, and strapped them on Hagar's shoulders. Then he sent her with their son, and she wandered aimlessly in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water was gone, she put the boy in the shade of a bush. Then she went and sat down by herself about 100 yards away. I don't want to watch the boy die, she said, as she burst into tears. But God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven. Hagar, what's wrong? Don't be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Go to him and comfort him, for I will make a great nation from his descendants. Then God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well full of water. She quickly filled her water container and gave the boy a drink. And God was with the boy as he grew up in the wilderness. He became a skillful archer, and he settled in the wilderness of Paran. His mother arranged for him to marry a woman in the land of Egypt. So these are 3 different stories of people who have experienced loss, great loss, and great grief and despair. And as I look at the season that I have entered right now in my life, I am experiencing loss and grief and despair and pain. And the things that I have been learning, number one is there's nothing that happens on earth or in heaven without God's doing, without God's permission. When we look at the story of Job, the first chapter of Job, basically it's a conversation between God and Satan, and God, bragging about this man who has so much faith, and then Satan comes and tells him, just allow me to bring disaster upon him, and you will see he will bow down to me, he will stop worshiping you. And then the Lord said, fine, go and do whatever you have to do. Do your worst. The only thing that I ask you not to do is touch his life. And that's exactly what the devil did. He came, he took his wealth, he took his kids, he even took his health. And his friends who were around him came and they all tried to make him curse God and tell him, curse God and die. But Job stood firm in his faith. Until in the end, God came through for Job and restored everything that he had lost, including the children that he had lost. But there's nothing that happens in heaven or on earth without God allowing it to happen. And I looked at my season and I looked at the things that have happened in my life in the past year, in the past couple of months, and even in the pain, even in the despair, I know that God has allowed it to happen. And I may not be able to see why right now, because there's so many times that God does something and you're not able to see the pattern of his will, or even see his heart, or even see his intention. But in the end, all is revealed. Just like Joseph, Joseph who was sold by his brothers to the Egyptian merchants. He found himself in Egypt. He was accused of assault. He was imprisoned. But then in the end, when Joseph had the opportunity to retaliate and to exert revenge against his brothers, he spoke and he said in Genesis 50:20, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. That his own people would find salvation, would find sustenance in Egypt. And that was the goal. It may have come with a lot of tragedy and pain, but the goal was that the people, the Hebrews, his own people, would find sustenance and help and food in a time of famine when everyone else was dying in their land. So in the end, God actually just comes and shows you this is actually why you went through all this. And more often than not, you'll find it's not for us, but it's for the betterment of other people. But let's go back to Ruth and Naomi. Ruth responded to God. Her response was, the Lord has caused me great bitterness. Job responded to God and said, the Lord gave me and the Lord took away. But blessed be the name of the Lord. For me, I want to merge those two together because I have found myself in the space as, not Ruth, Naomi. I found myself in the space as Naomi, having to relocate to a different place, basically going back home. Although it's not home for me, but because it's my mom's home of origin, it's home. So I found myself having to relocate back home, taking care of my kids, finding myself in a single mom situation, and not even understanding exactly what I'm supposed to do, the steps I'm supposed to take, the help that I need. It's really confusing, and even just the way I've been able to handle it, I have to really just pat myself on the back and say, you've tried. I have really tried, just to keep my head above water. But when I look at how much Naomi and Ruth struggled, Ruth having to glean in the fields, just to go after the harvesters and to pick up whatever they left behind. And for me, that's how I feel. I feel like I'm picking up whatever other people are leaving behind, and to pick my life afresh and to start over. I do not want to find myself in despair in this season. And so, how do I deal with the grief that I'm experiencing? How do I deal with the loss? I think the biggest mistake that I have made in the past couple of months is to ignore my pain. I have focused on other people's issues, other people's pain. So I've ignored my pain. And so the thing that my therapist made me do was to go back in my memory and write down incidences where I experienced unhappiness and anxiety. And when I did this exercise, it opened up so many memories of pain, and I felt the pain, and it's like there was this can that was opened, and I just could not stop crying. I just cried and wept, and I cried and I wept, and I believe that this is what Job did as well. He laid down his clothes, he put on, this is what people did basically when they mourned in the Bible. They would put on sackcloth. Job fell down and worshipped the Lord. He actually went down on his knees and worshipped the Lord and said, the Lord has given me and the Lord has taken away. Do not try to jump, to skip processes, to skip steps. I tried to skip the painful step, and now I've had to go back to deal with the pain. Thankfully, my kids are in school, so I can cry, in the morning and in the afternoon, and complain and be angry and vent and do all these things because I need to express my pain. The second thing that we need to do is to find things that give you joy, that remind you that there is life, to remind you that there's God and He's faithful, and whether that means being with another person who also needs help, who also needs guidance, like Naomi did, although she resisted at the beginning, but she actually took Ruth on, and she became the older woman to Ruth, and she was able to feed into her life and breathe into her life and give her meaning and purpose into her life. So find something or someone who's also going through a difficult time or a joyous time, and be part of that person's life, because then you will see that the Lord actually is still moving. You may not see Him moving in your life, but you'll see Him moving in somebody else's life. And for me, I'm grateful because right now I'm with my sisters. I'm living with 3 of my elder sisters and their children. So it's an entire household of people, and they all have lives, experiences at work, in their love lives, in their hopes and their dreams. They desire things, and for me to be part of that and to be part of their lives, it has given me such great joy and purpose and meaning, where I do not just focus on my own issues, but I focus on other people, and I'm even able to stand in the gap for them in prayer. That has given me the reason to keep living and reason to keep believing in the Lord. The other thing that I would like to say is find space where you're able to renew yourself, renew the things that you love to do, reconnect with your friends, go out for lunch, find life, because the Lord wants us to live life and to live life in abundance and to the fullest. So find those places where you're able to live life. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still stuck in my room, hiding. I may say that I want to be out there and to put myself out there and all these things, but in truth, I literally want to stay in bed and hide all day long because I am afraid. I am afraid of rejection. I am afraid that people will still walk away from me, because that is exactly what happened. 2 of my closest friends walked away from me at the moment when I needed them the most, and it broke me. And I was left feeling so alone and wondering if I'm even able to trust, let alone even make other friends, new friends. It's very difficult for me, and I have to work my way up from that place of just rejection. The most valuable lesson that I have learned in this season, that you cannot separate yourself from the Lord. When you do that, then you lose your faith in God. The Lord, in this season, how will you trust Him when someone else, or how will you show someone else to trust the Lord when they go through their own grief? What will you tell them when they go through their own loss? Who will they turn to? So for me, Job just going back to the Lord and worshiping God through his entire season of grief and loss, to me, is so inspiring. But the most encouraging bit is the story of Hagar. She was going to die. Her child was going to die. And this was basic despair. But the Lord showed up. He sent an angel and provided a well and showed that this is the way. He actually made a way for her where there seemed to be no way, and showed her the way to sustenance. In your grief, in that moment of loss, God will make a way. God will show you a channel to find relief, to find sustenance, to find help, for you to have rest in the fact that He is always with you, and He's still walking with you. He'll, even though you do not see it in that moment, He may not come to you like He did with Hagar, where He sent an angel and provided a way and showed Hagar, this is a way, go get sustenance for your child. Live, I will be with you, I will help you, I will sustain you and your child. He may not come up in such a real and tangible and actual angel appearing moment, but He will give you that hope. He will give you that strength to get out of bed in the morning. He will give you that hope that you will find love again and you will not be rejected, and because He has accepted you. And for me, that is the greatest thing that I'm having to deal with right now. Just the fear of rejection. Oh my God, I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid of being rejected. Like it's not even funny. I will literally stay in this room for a whole year and not put myself out there because I am afraid of being rejected. I have been rejected, and it scares me. But then God has been reminding me that if the ultimate father, if the ultimate lover, if the ultimate man has accepted me, and that is God and that is Jesus, then that's all I need. That's all the acceptance I need. And so slowly by slowly, I know He'll get me to that place where I will not care if somebody rejects me or not, but I'm not there yet. That's the truth of the matter. I am not there yet. And I'm waiting to see God show up for me in that sense, like He did for Hagar. I'm waiting for the Lord to rise up for me. So today I just want to encourage you through the story of Job, through the story of Ruth and Naomi, and through Hagar's story, that even in grief, even in loss, even in pain, that you are able to get through it. Surround yourself with people who care, who love you. Surround yourself with God, in the presence of God. Go to church, go to a worship night, spend some time listening to worship music. Pain is real, and there's no real answer, there's no real solution to how to deal with it except just God and His love and His kindness, and trusting that He will be faithful and He will take you through that season. As you trust in Him, I'm trusting in Him as well. For those who are suffering great loss, the loss of a loved one, for those who have lost their children, have experienced death in their families, my heart goes out to you. Aren't living with this. Revelation 2:21. For those who've lost loved ones, children, husbands, family members in death, this is the promise that I want to give you. This is a promise of the Lord. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the old heaven and the old earth had disappeared, and the sea was also gone. And I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, like a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. I heard a loud shout from the throne saying, "Look, God's home is now among his people. He will live with them, and they will be his people. God himself will be with them. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death or sorrow or crying or pain. All these things are gone forever." And the promise is that we will see our loved one that we've lost. We'll see them again. I hope this has been helpful. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've suffered great loss as well. And we'll pray together. I'll stand with you. We'll get through this season together. I'll keep sharing my lessons with you. And hopefully by this time next time I'll be telling a different story. Yeah? Right? I'll see you in my next video. Bye!